Good evening, everyone. My name's Clifford Andrews, and I'm joined by Dinah John.
Hi, everybody.
Um, I'm in the office in uh, in Norwich, and
Muted.
Dinah's in her home, a few miles away. And you're, by the looks of it, all over the world. We've got mostly from the UK this time, but we've got some from Europe. Okay, so let's get started. This webinar it's a free webinar, and it's about treating the back with Shiatsu and TCM, and it's based loosely on a workshop that I've taught a few times in Europe, and it's been very well received. I think really because treating the back is such a common thing that we find in the Shiatsu clinic, and what we've been developing in the New Energy Work project and the Shiatsu College is we've been approaching it from an energetic point of view. So we're working the back as an energetic system using all the advantages of quantum shiatsu and Masanaga shiatsu, and also resources from TCM and points. So what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm just going to show you my screen, and then it'll be like a slideshow presentation, and we've got various features of the webinar which I'll explain to you before we start if you haven't done a webinar before.
Maybe we could find out how many of them haven't done it before.
That's a really good idea. Actually, Shakura's sitting next to me. How about that, Shakura? Why don't we, first of all, let me show my screen first so that we can make sure that everyone can see that first of all. It takes a little while sometimes to load up.
I can see it.
Yeah. You're still waiting for it now. Does it say treating the back? Can you see
Treating
that?
the back, it says, yes.
Yeah. Okay, it's still loading up. Oh yeah, some people are typing in. Yeah. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for the screen to come through, why don't we launch the first poll, which is to find out whether this is your first webinar. What you'll see in a minute, everyone, is you'll see like a little questionnaire thing, and if you can just click on it, we can find out how many of you have done a webinar before. Okay, great. Oh, everyone's voting really fast today. That's 70% of everyone voted. We've got 70. Any more people to vote? 82%. Okay, we've 80% voted. Anyone else want to vote? Otherwise, we'll close the poll. Oh, a few more people coming in. So I think we'd better spend a little bit of time just explaining how it works. Wow, look at that. 70%, Dinah, of the poll. Yeah, so what you'll find is you'll find a control panel on your desktop, and there are various ways you can interact with the webinar. The first one is the polls, and we've got a few more polls lined up for later on. That's one of the things you can do. The other thing you can do is you can actually put your hand up, and you'll see a little hand on your control panel that'll indicate the hand, which you can click on. And what that does is...
Let me just say, you might need to move over the screen that says treating the back so that you can see the full control panel with the little icons to the left of it, one of which is the hand, because at the moment it comes up covering it up. So if you just drag... Well, for some people anyway.
Yeah, it might do, yeah. If you can't see the full control panel, just make sure that you organize your desktop so that you can see it. That's right, yeah. And there's a little hand, and what that does is that signals to us that you've put your hand up and you'd like to like to say something, and you can ask a question or at any time during the webinar. And then what we'll do is Shakura's next to me. She's engineering it today, and so she'll keep her eye open, and then at a suitable place in the presentation we'll try and unmute you, and you should, assuming you've got a reasonable audio, a reasonable internet connection, and preferably a headset, then you should be able to ask us a question and everyone will be able to hear you. The other way that you can interact with us is by text message. It's kind of like a chat text kind of thing at the bottom, or you can ask questions. That's right, there's a questions, pull down questions thing where you can actually ask questions by text, and then again Shakura will keep her eye on that and see if she can feed the questions to us as we go along. Okay, so just take a little bit of time to explore the control panel and you'll see all the different features of the webinar. Okay, great. So what we'll do is we'll first of all go through the presentation. I've got a few more polls, like I say, to interact for you to interact with. First, one of the things we could find out actually is to find out what whether you're a Shiatsu practitioner. I mean, we assume that most of you are, but we've got a poll here to find out whether you're full-time Shiatsu practitioner and teacher, or whether you're part-time, whether you're another therapist, or none of the above. And I wonder if you could just let us know exactly what kind of audience we've got today. Whoa, okay, here we go. Excellent. Wow, everyone's really on the ball today, really voting very, very fast. Okay, look at this. We've got 2% other therapists, no 0% none of the above, so we're all therapists listening in. 67% part-time Shiatsu practitioners, 30% full-time. So we've got the vast majority of you are Shiatsu practitioners. So that's really, really, that's great. Okay, great. So should we just close up that poll and then we'll get on with the, go forwards with the presentation. Okay, here we go. So here we are. It's treating the back with Shiatsu and TCM, and that's with me, Clifford Andrews, and Diana John. Okay, I thought we might want to have a little look at a picture of us, if you don't know what we look like. There's me in the Shiatsu Center, standing in front of the library, and there's a picture of Diana from the Shiatsu College prospectus. Okay, so I thought first of all I'd give you a brief introduction of the whole webinar, and then it'll give you some kind of structure we can work through. I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for questions, and also just explaining the online courses that we're running on New Energy Work. So what have we got in store for you this evening? We've got exploring the back as a Tensegrity structure, which is really very much a la mode at the moment. The whole concept of the Tensegrity systems is really seems to be very popular in a lot of therapies. It's because it's such a great model for energy-based systems. Meridians as holographic structures. This comes from Pauline Sasaki's work, and we'll be discussing how we can use that in reality to give us a very, very flexible way of treating the back. TCM and Masanaga functions, we'll be reviewing that, and I've actually got an energy work exercise for you to do at home so that we can all have a synchronized energy work experience later on. And what I'd like to do is see if we can actually experience all the meridian vibrations or functions in the back and the spine. And we'll be talking a little bit about the action of points, and that's one of the features of the system that we'll be presenting, and that is not only using TCM Masanaga functions, but also being actually to be able to physically or energetically assess the action of points that are used for the back, and we'll be discussing a couple of them and common applications of those points. And then finally talking about how we integrate it all together. And I just remembered actually, Dinah, that we made quite a long YouTube video, didn't we, for an earlier course?
Yes.
Retreating you, which actually does show how the whole system integrates quite well, from what I can remember.
Yeah, it's a cracker.
I think you were very much in need of that treatment as well. So you were the perfect model, weren't you?
I was, yes.
Yeah. I can still remember the diagnosis. I think it was heart protector and something else.
Heart protector and yes, kidney, I think, or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yes, if you want to check that YouTube video out, it's on our YouTube channel, on the New Energy Work YouTube channel.
It's also on the Shiatsu College website.
Oh, is it?
Yes, I noticed the other day. I thought, where did they get that from?
YouTube. That's where they got it from.
Yeah.
They embedded
Smart.
it. Yep. Yes, that's right. Okay, let's just think a little bit about the spine and the back and how we often think about it especially when we've studied A, P, and P. Okay, what we tend to think of when we think of the spine is it as a sort of solid compressional structure that's built up one block on top of the other, a bit like a building, where one brick is placed on top of another. And there's a very, very good YouTube video by Thomas Myers of Anatomy Trains that is one of the resources for the online courses, where he demonstrates this, and this is where I got the idea from, just to credit Thomas Myers with that. Yeah, and so we tend to think of the spine like this, like it's a compressional structure all the way up. So we tend to think of it as relatively fixed. I mean, obviously it moves around as joints, but we think of it as really basically an integrated structure. One vertebrae sort of stuck on top of the other, and also as a continuous compression structure, which is we tend to think of the head pressing down kind of thing on the spine all the way down, and then being supported by the sacroiliac joint. But in actual fact, there's a much better model for how the spine and the back works, which is the tensegrity structure. Tensegrity structures are completely different from compressional structures, and I've got a picture of one here. Okay, this is a tensegrity model, and you notice that although there is compression along the dowels, that's the long sticks, it's also held in place by tension members, which are the rubber bands. And if you've ever seen one of these models, again, if you look on YouTube, you can see videos. What happens is the whole structure kind of moves, and the dowels kind of float within the elastic bands. And that is a really, really good model for how the spine works, because if it wasn't for the soft tissue and all the fascia and the muscles that hold the bones in place, they'd actually just kind of clatter to the floor. There would be nothing to hold them up. And the other interesting thing about the tensegrity model is this feeling of the bones, in the case of the spine, kind of floating within the soft tissue, and that gives us a much more kind of accurate model of what we're actually dealing with. One thing that, I don't know about you, Dinah, but one thing that always used to bother me was when I was working on clients was that when I assessed the spine in the sitting position and then the side position or prone or supine, it always felt really quite different.
Absolutely.
It can actually feel very, very different. And that always bothered me. I always thought, well, which is the right one? which is the one I should be treating?
Yes.
Because I think I had in my mind the fact that it was more of a fixed structure, like a compressional structure. But with
sorry, I was just going to say, I really think that that Thomas Myers, if you haven't caught the name, it's Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, Thomas Myers, the author of Anatomy Trains. He has got a little YouTube video of him on a sailing boat, and he points out a lighthouse on the shore, and uses the two examples. It's a brilliant illustration.
Analogy,
yes, it's like we tend to think of the lighthouse as the spine as being like the lighthouse, kind of built up from bottom to top, and as Cliff has described, a constant compression structure. But actually, if you look at the boat with all the ropes and all the sails and the stays and so on, and how it's all constantly in tension and moving according, responding to the environment around it, the wind and the pulling of the sailor and so on. It's actually a much clearer model than and that makes sense then when you think about the spine in sitting position, like your lighthouse kind of thing. But of course, when we move and into side position or lying down, then the whole system changes.
Exactly. And in fact, actually, come to think of it, now I think of it, James Oshman's book, Energy Medicine, has a whole section about gravity, doesn't it? And the effect it has on it. So we're talking about compressional and a tensional system, and that's the model that we can use. The bones float in the soft tissue, and the fascia is a bit like the rubber bands in the tensegrity model. So that's a very good image that we can use to work on. And also, because the meridians work, they work within if you've taken our online course on Shiatsu, the scientific basis, you will have studied how the meridian system is embedded in the fascia. And so really, the way I like to think about it is I like to think that the meridian system are a bit like the rubber bands. I mean, they're a very, very sophisticated way of us working on those rubber bands that provide the tensegrity structure. And the other, of course, big advantages that we have over other types of bodywork is that we can map the meridian pathways and their functions on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level. So we're not just working on a physical level. Okay, so look, here's a couple of pictures I found of Pauline and Masunaga. There's Masunaga, and there's Pauline. And one of the really big contributions that they both made together, really, one after the other, is the idea of the meridian expressions. And really, I think the big contribution that Masunaga made about how we can experience meridians is it takes us away from just thinking about viewpoints and areas and pathways, and it takes us more into feeling the vibration or the function of the meridian in the whole body. Okay, so the whole body resonates with each of the meridian functions, and that gives us a really flexible holographic system, because what it means is that if we get any higher diagnosis and we get any type of issues with the spine or the back anywhere in the body, we can relate it directly through energetic resonance, which solves the problem of, for example, having a client with, say, pain in the lower lumbar and then getting a meridian such as heart protector and, let's say, spleen, for example. Because your first thought might be, oh, well, I wonder how I can make that work, because isn't the lower back related to the kidney, kind of thing. You know, when we work the body as the energy system as a holographic system, we don't have that problem, because we can test with resonance techniques directly to see which meridians are actually involved in whatever back issue that we're working with. Okay, so each meridian resonates with every cell. All right, okay, so I thought we'd do an exercise now on the meridians, but before we do that, let's have another poll, which is, I think I prepared one on the elements. Yeah, so if you had to vote for one element that's most related to the back, which one would you be? This is a hard question, and there's no real right answer, but I just thought it would be just a fun thing just to see which one gets the most votes. Okay. We've got 100% water so far.
Yep, that was what my betting was going to be on.
Yeah, we could have taken bets on this. It would have been even better, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Oh, we've got
money's definitely on water.
Right. Okay. Oh, we've got a few mavericks out there, though.
Excellent.
Yeah, we've got 2% metal, 2% fire, and we've got 8% wood. And I would have put my money on wood being the second one. The second one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's gone up to 10%, probably because I just said that. Okay, so there we go. Look, this is the results. Can you publish the results? You can, can't you? Yeah, we've got 2% metal, 0% earth. Oh,
poor old earth.
Now you may be very interested to know that there is a very strong relationship between the earth element and the spine, because the spine is held up by the earth element, which we'll go on to a little bit later. We'll talk about that. Yeah, but I think that's probably fair that water have got 87%, the clear winner here, with wood 10% and 2% fire. Do you think that's fair, Dinah?
I'd say absolutely fair.
Yeah.
And suggests as well that they've done their homework.
That's
Love
right,
their theory. Apart from earth, I'm surprised nobody... Well, the thing is, if you're only choosing one, you're going to choose your most obvious, aren't you?
You are, really, yeah. That's right, yeah. Okay, well, how about doing a meridian exercise? Would everyone be up for that? I'm going to actually ask you to just not look at the screen for a bit and just listen to the audio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through all the meridian pairs, and we're just going to explore the function of how they relate with the back. So what I'm going to do is give you a moment. If you haven't got any paper or pencil handy, if you could just go and get some paper and pencil, because I'd like you to do a drawing for each of the meridians, and I'm going to do the same myself here. So what we really want is, great. What we really want is 6 boxes that relate to each of the meridians, and we can annotate them with the meridian names in the Chinese clock, and we'll go around the Chinese clock just for ease. So it'll be lung, large intestine, stomach and spleen, heart, small intestine, kidney, bladder, triple heater, heart protector, and liver, gallbladder. Okay, and what we're going to do is we can do this exercise. You can actually do it standing up if you want, or sitting down, doesn't matter. It links with the Masunaga meridian expressions, but we're going to do it more as an internal kind of meditation, as it's a little bit late in the day. Okay, so let's try this. First of all, let's just sit comfortably, sit or stand comfortably. You may want to get up and move about if you a bit of a change from sitting at the computer. Okay, so let's just center ourselves first of all and just get a feeling for the whole back and spine. So let's just feel how our back feels. Okay, so now let's get in touch with the function of the lung and large intestine. We're going to focus it in on the back. So as we breathe in, you can feel the breath coming in, chi from the breath coming in, and we're going to imagine it going into the spine, descending it down the spine, and then as we breathe out, we're just going to release and let go all the way down the spine. Okay, so we're going to repeat that. So we're going to breathe in, feel the breath going all the way down the spine, and then breathe out and feel the release all the way down the spine. Okay, and that's the function of the lung and large intestine. Intake of chi from the breath, and the descending function is the TCM function. The releasing function is part of the Masnaga function as well as TCM. So we're releasing on the out breath. Okay, and now just let that fade, and we'll go back into the spine again. I think I'm getting a group energy effect, Dinah. I can almost feel a sense that, you know, there's so many people doing it. I can feel it's like being in class. That does happen on these online things sometimes. You just get that sort of beyond space and time feeling.
Yeah, everybody's breathing.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, yeah, very good. Right. Okay, now let's try something else. Look, we need to put our feet on the ground if you're sitting down. And presumably if you're standing up, your feet are on the ground already. Okay, and what we're going to do is if you just roll your feet inwards slightly and just open up the inside arch of the foot and press that into the ground a bit, we'll explain why later, and then put your feet down. That'll just energize the spleen meridian, and it'll open up spleen 3, which is a particularly good point for the back related to the spleen. Okay, so now we're going to do some breathing, but we're going to breathe in a completely different way. We're going to imagine the breath coming up from the earth. Okay, so you imagine it coming up through the spleen meridian. Feel the breath coming up. And then as you breathe out, you imagine the breath going down the stomach meridian, back down into the earth. Okay. So we're breathing up the spleen meridian. The spleen holds up the spine. Spleen 3 is a really important point for that. You can visualize the point. Feel the energy holding the spine up, all the way up. And then as you breathe out, as we breathe out, feel this energy going down the stomach meridian. Completely different quality, isn't it, from the lung? More solid feeling. Yeah, completely more solid feeling. And that's the relationship between the earth element and the spine. Okay, great. Okay, so again, going back into neutral again. Okay, and then we come to the heart and small intestine. Okay, the heart and small intestine obviously related to the heart chakra and the emotional center of the body. If you've got enough room to open up your arms, you might want to just open your arms up and stretch them out, opening up and twist. You can twist your little finger round, that opens up heart 1. If you twist your arms back with the little finger uppermost, that opens up heart 1. Just open up the meridian. Oh, actually that does feel good.
Lovely.
Oh, excellent. Okay, and then another really good heart stretch. You put your palms together, stretch your palms up towards the ceiling, point your palms behind your back, and then on the out breath, open up heart 1 and just open up the heart meridian. Okay, very good. Now bringing the hands back down into the prayer position after those stretches, we can align the palms with the heart chakra. And you'll notice this very, very deep connection with the heart meridian and particularly the thoracic spine. but it also relates directly to the whole spine through the emotional center of the body. So let's just have a few moments just seeing if we can get in touch with that feeling. Okay. And now if you feel the small intestine meridian on the outside of our arms, the outside of our back, you get this feeling of the whole spine being protected from shocks, external shocks, by the small intestine meridian. So we've got this emotional connection radiating through the spine from the heart chakra, and this protective aspect of the small intestine. Okay. Again, a very different feeling, more focused in the thoracic spine. Okay, good. So you might just want to shake out after that. Go back to neutral again.
Great.
That was a very good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now what about kidney and bladder? Well, as you probably know from the TCM, by judging by your 80% vote for the water element, the whole spine is obviously very closely connected both to the Jing and the kidney key, which is stored in the dantian, and also, of course, it's connected via the bladder channel. So I thought what we could do is we can do like a lower abdominal breathing exercise and just charge up the Ming Men and then feel that support the back. So if you place one hand over the other, just going to place it over the Ming Men points, that's CV4 and CV6, and imagine your chi connecting through into the lumbar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in and we're going to bring the chi from the breath right into the dantian and see if we can feel that warmth going right into the back around bladder 23, the kidney U point. Okay. Now, as we breathe out, we just imagine the air coming out and the chi, the light, the energy collecting in the lower hara and radiating into the lumbar spine. Okay, now once you feel that warmth starting to generate down into the lower back, you can feel a kind of that feeling going up through the whole spine, and that's the connection between the kidney chi and the jing and the spine. Let's just sit with that for a while. Okay, excellent. Yeah, very, very good. Oh, that's Dinah's headset, I think I heard then. Okay, then should we just shake out? Are you okay, Dinah?
Sorry, I disappeared there. What happened?
Yeah. Yeah, we heard it clattering, Dinah. I thought it was your headset that I could hear.
You know, I ran off to turn the heating on.
You shouldn't need it. If kidney yang was stimulated enough,
Yeah,
it would keep
exactly.
the whole place.
It reminded me I need more warmth.
Okay, right, here we go. Last two coming up, triple heater and heart protector. So let's do the heart protector expression. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands around us, you know, like hugging ourselves, like we would do if it was cold. Suitable for Dinah until our heating kicks in.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, we just get in touch with that feeling, and we feel the emotional center of the body, which is the heart protector, around the heart. So it's the circulation inside, deep inside, similar feeling to the heart. And the triple heater is on the outside, similar to the small intestine. So just see if we can get in touch with that feeling. And again, that emotional protection. See if you can get that resonating all the way down the spine. Okay, very good. One more to go, and that's the liver and gallbladder. Now you can do this in a standing or the sitting position. Okay, just shake out again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to experiment with turning, because as I'm sure you know, especially those of you, 1 in 10 people voted for wood as their favorite element anyway, it's to do with decision making and planning and distribution of energy. And that's why it's so important for the spine, because it's to do with all the ligaments, muscles, and the turning action. So just try this experiment. Imagine that you can freely turn from left to right. You can just turn in your chair, just feel your spine moving from left to right. Okay, and that smoothness or lack of it is related to the liver meridian, that smooth movement of chi. Okay, now we can demonstrate that of how liver chi can stagnate by doing a little experiment. So let's just imagine that to our left is something we really don't want to do, or we really don't want to go to, something that we really don't want to try and avoid, and that's to the left of our body. And to the right of our body is something or somewhere or someone that we really want to see, that we really would be happy seeing. Okay, now try this and see if you can feel the effect of liver chi stagnation on your spine and your back. First of all, sit, relax, feel your vertebrae floating. Okay, now think about that left side, the one you really don't want to go to, somewhere that's going to make you probably frustrated or angry or depressed if you go there. Okay, just imagine that on your left side, and now just try and turning your body to the left. Turn your head and try to turn towards that and notice how it feels. Okay. Okay, and now come back into the center again, and now imagine that place on the right hand side, really nice place, really happy place that you want to go to, and then turn to the right. And you'll notice, I think, that everything is much smoother when you turn to the right. And that's the liver chi moving smoothly and affecting the whole way that the soft tissue, the ligaments, and the joints work. So just try that a few times going left and right, and you'll see the difference. Okay, and you'll notice that you feel that that's the Masanaga, comes from the Masanaga expression of planning, decision making, which way to turn. You probably recognize that. But you can feel that effect all the way down the whole spine, not just in the liver diagnostic area or on the U point. Okay, great. So look, I'll tell you what we'll do now. Let's go back to our paper and just spend a couple of minutes just jotting down notes or drawing, just to remind you of any strong experiences that you've had. And then I've got a slide coming up which will help us review all those experiences. So we've got the lung descending the chi, large intestine releasing, stomach and spleen holding up, heart, small intestine, emotional center, kidney and bladder, root of the energy, protection, and smooth flow. So just think back to those 6 experiences and just write down anything that really struck you. Just give you some time to do that. Okay, great. So let's have a look at the next slide. Just on a very simple chart there of the functions that we've been exploring with each meridian pair. And you can see how the functions are kind of amalgam of Masanaga and TCM. Sometimes the TCM gives us information that we don't get directly from the Masanaga system, so it's useful to have that as a backup. So there we have intake of ki all the way down the spine and elimination, lung and large intestine. That nurturing feeling we get from the earth, which channels up the spleen meridian and goes right through the center of the spine and holds up the back. And if you want to feel that function, if you have anyone with any weakness in the spine and you get spleen in the diagnosis, you can try palpating the spine and working spleen 3. It really is a very strong point for that function. Okay. Oh, we've got someone put their hand up. Should we do that now, Shakura? Who have we got? Amanda Crawshaw. Okay. Should we? I don't think the connection's very good, but we can try putting Amanda on. Let's see. Just unmute and just see. Hello, Amanda. Can you hear me? Amanda, can you hear me? No, I think she's not got a very good connection there, Amanda. Sorry, could you just type in any questions you've got, Amanda, and we'll deal with them via the questioning thing. If anyone's got a good audio connection and maybe a headset, and they want to put their hand up, please do it, and we'll do it. We'll answer it directly. Okay, and then we're moving on through the chart. We've got heart and small intestine, which gives us that stabilization of the thoracic spine, which also spreads down through the whole spine, that feeling of connection with the emotional center. The assimilation shock mechanism is the function of the small intestine. And the whole strength of the back that comes from the Jing, from the constitution, and also the bladder channel itself, that's what gives the kidney and bladder such a strong connection. Of course, as well, of course, the water element's directly related to the bones, isn't it? It's a direct correlation. And then we've got triple heater heart protector as the protection and circulation. Again, similar to the heart in that way. Triple heater provides protection for the whole back, heart protector, the circulation, and protects the emotions. And then liver and gallbladder, probably the most dramatic one that you can feel. When you get liver stagnation, you really can feel it. Yeah, that's the one that gives us the free-flowing nature of in the chi. Okay, so that's a simplified version of the functions. Obviously, in the online course, we go into it in more detail and relate it to the points. Okay, the Makaho exercise, I just want to mention this. The Makaho exercise is directly related to the functions. And here's something that I found on the internet, someone doing the heart protector and triple heater Makaho exercise. The Makaho exercises directly relate to the meridian functions, and that's one of the reasons they work so well. They not only stretch the meridians, as you know, they also relate to the functions as well as the locations. And the Makaho exercises work directly in conjunction with Masnaka's expressions, which in turn come from the TCM. So it all kind of integrates together. Okay, if there are any questions about anything so far, please do send us a question or put your hand up, and we'll be very happy to either unmute you if you've got a good audio connection, or we can deal with any questions that you might like to give us. Okay, one of the things that we do in the system that we've demonstrated on some of the YouTube videos is that we directly connect any issues in the spine with the Hara diagnosis. So what we do is we can feel any weaknesses or blockages in the spine on the back, and that can be right down to even just a small point by a vertebrae, or if there's a herniation on the disc or rotation or subluxation, anything that can be assessed. And then by checking the resonance with the Hara diagnosis, we can kind of get a readout of exactly which of the meridian functions are resonating with that particular issue. Because it's a holographic system, and because it's a tensegrity system, that means that any of the meridians can relate to any part of the back. Once we've got a meridian diagnosis, what we can do then is we can start to integrate the points in, not in a theoretical way of, oh, this point is good for the back kind of thing, but more in a direct energetic way, because what we can do then is we can hold any of the issues, whether it's a weakness or a vertebral misplacement or a herniation or a blockage or anything. Having assessed the meridian resonances, we can then use the actions of the points to directly work whatever the issue is in the back. And so what I thought we'd just do is just pick 2 points that we can just discuss that are favorite points. They're kind of like some of the awesome points. And we can just go through some of the functions. But actually, Shakira's just told me that we've got a couple of questions here. So what have we got? Let's just have a look. I'll have a look in my oh yeah. Okay, we've got a question from Sally Butler. Hi, Sally. You mentioned the bones floating in fascia. What about relationship to muscles? Yeah, that's right. I did mention the muscles earlier on. The muscles are all part of the soft tissue. So absolutely, the muscles obviously are related to the whole way that the bones are held in place. But the interesting thing for us is that the fascia form a continuous network of structures that go right across all the muscles, and they link up distant structures, and that's the exciting thing for us, I think, because what it does is it provides us with a physical ground in which to understand the meridian system, because the fascia, as you may know, have long continuous kind of trains, a bit like the whole system of rubber bands that go right across all the muscles. So the muscles attach from one bone to the next, but the fascia form a structure over the top of it. Okay, here we go. You said, and we've got Roberto here, Roberto de Gregory. Another question. Thank you, Roberto. You said with the lung, large intestine energy comes from the air and travels down to the earth, while from spleen, stomach, it's the opposite. Yep, that's the way. That's the story that they tell us in TCM. Yep, the lungs actually take the chi from the heavens with the breath. It's to do with the production of chi or qi in Chinese medicine. So the air comes in with the air. The chi comes in with the breath, and because the lungs are at the top, the only way really for it to go is down. So the lungs send the chi down, and it's that feeling of the lungs descending the chi down that we got in touch with that exercise. The large intestine is more of a releasing kind of function, and the spleen is supposed to hold up the energy in the body. And what that is from an experiential point of view is the sensation that we have of the earth supporting us. When we're standing or when we're sitting, we can feel the pressure caused by gravity, our bodies going down to the earth. And that feeling of being supported by the earth, that is associated with the spleen. And from a metaphorical point of view, of course, that plants come from the earth, and so food helps support us and keep our energy upright. So that's the relationship with the spleen. So yeah, thank you very much for those questions.
And from a TCM perspective, the spleen is said to confer the ability to feel lightness in the body.
Oh, yes.
So, and when the spleen's not working well, you feel heavy and pressed down by gravity or whatever, and obviously damp and things like that add to that heavy feeling. But when the spleen is working well with its transformatory function, then it confers the ability to feel light, to feel lightness.
That's a really good image. I'm going to use that next time I press spleen 3, Dinah.
Yeah, it's magic, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I can just imagine all those bones floating up in a light way.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's just take a couple of points and have a look at why they're so awesome. Kidney 3 is a favourite because it's obviously, well, here's a picture I found on the internet of where it is. It's quite a big blue dot. You can't really go wrong there, anywhere behind the ankle, but as you may know, it's exactly midway between the midpoint of the ankle and the Achilles tendon. It's a source point of the kidneys, and that's really why it's such a powerful point. Next time you get someone with kidney and bladder deficiency and they've got maybe weakness in the lower back, or even if they haven't, you might like to try placing your hand, mother hand, on the lower back underneath them in the supine position is a good way of doing it, and then maybe putting their leg in the stretch position and then working kidney 3, and very often you'll feel a sensation of heat generated or a sensation of strength coming into the lower back, very much like we created ourselves with the breathing exercise there. It's a great point, isn't it, Dinah? Kidney 3. It's one of my favourites.
Magic. Yeah. And I was thinking just now as well that it's worth mentioning that in terms of use of points, that the NICE, it's the something like National Institute for Clinical Excellence in Western Medicine in England, in the UK, actually recommends acupuncture as the treatment of choice for back pain.
There we are.
So even Western medicine recognizes the value of using the classical points for treating back pain.
Yeah.
more effective than their own systems.
And we've got all that and more, haven't we? Because we've got
We
the points
certainly
and we've
have.
got the energy work
Yeah,
and the body work. So yeah,
exactly, exactly.
yeah,
That's just one part of it.
yeah.
The points.
And it tonifies the kidney, and obviously it strengthens the back. So yeah, try kidney 3 next time. Next time you get anything like that. Look, here's another favourite point from the second favourite Meridian voted by by you. See, I had this prepared earlier. You see.
Yeah.
Gallbladder 34 is another magic point, isn't it? It's a
Uh-huh.
fantastic one. And the great thing about it is it's got a very strong effect on the tendons and muscles, and it's particularly good for moving obstruction and spasming. It's one that I use a lot. And here it is. Here's how you can locate it if you don't know where it is. And again, try this. If you've got anyone with if you get liver in the diagnosis, you've got any obstruction at all anywhere in the spine, if you can hold it with the mother hand, work down the gallbladder meridian, and if you get to gallbladder 34, 99 times out of 100, you'll feel a release in the spasming or the obstruction. It really is a terrific point. It links to the liver function of distributing the ki directly, and it's used for spasming and contraction. So I just mentioned releases the tendons and spreads liver ki. One of my favourites. I don't know about you, Dinah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Along with gallbladder 30.
Yes, of course. Yeah, for
And
sciatica.
I sometimes work them together,
Yes,
and that
yes.
can be pretty powerful.
What together? You mean holding gallbladder 30 and
Yes,
34 at the
hold,
same time?
yes,
All right.
yes, yeah, hold 30, work down to 34, and then just hold them together for a little until you feel a release.
Yes. Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to tune in to that, get that release, because you haven't actually got your hand there. If you've got your hand on gallbladder 30, your mother hand.
Right.
But
Yeah. Exactly.
but they
Yeah.
can be a pretty powerful combination.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
Mm.
And in the online course, we go into our favourite awesome points for each meridian. There really are some good ones. And just when you're this is just part of the, we're now moving in more into the integration aspect of it now. I was teaching this workshop in Vienna that I taught it twice actually, last week, was it?
Yes.
And we came up with 4 questions. You'll recognize some of them from the clean language course, which I think are 4 essential questions that are very good to ask if anyone comes with anything, but particularly with any back problems. Can you guess what they are?
Where is it?
Well, yeah, that's the second one.
What's it like?
What's it like? Yeah, what
Yeah.
is it like? Yeah, and because that will give you an idea of whether it's an obstruction or a weakness. I mean, if you want to bring it down to the absolute simplicity, most simple level, you're essentially dealing either with some kind of obstruction or blockage, or you're going to be dealing with something that's basically a deficiency or a weakness. Where exactly it is, and that's really, really important. And I like to, in my practice, I like to actually get them to point exactly where it is, and I will actually palpate right then and there when they're sitting up, just because
me too.
you really want to feel what it's like, especially in the sitting position. Again, from the tensegrity point of view, it's very valuable. And also, they know that you know. That's my favorite thing.
Yes.
They know that
absolutely.
you know what it feels like. And,
In fact,
funnily enough, I had a whole
today.
I was going to say I just had 4 this afternoon.
I had one. He'd had an accident.
I had.
So, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. I had one of those afternoons this afternoon, where every client was very demanding. Yeah, various different neck and back pain. Yeah. I think it must have been in the energy of this webinar. Just attracted them. Third favourite question, how long is it going on for? Because you really want to know whether it's acute, subacute or chronic, because that'll give you an idea of how long it's likely to take to treat it, So, and last but not least, this is more of a TCM question. Again, one of the 4 essential questions, I think, and that's what makes it better or worse, because that gives you a really good idea. Generally speaking, the first thing you want to notice is, does it get better or worse with movement? Because that's, from a TCM point of view, that indicates whether it's more of a deficiency or an excess or a stagnation. So
it's really essential, actually, if they can tell you, and sometimes they can't, but if you can find out whether it's better for movement or better for rest, then you've got a really clear indication of whether the stagnation is dominant or whether the deficiency is dominant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, and here we are. We're coming up. We've only got 10 minutes left, so if you've got any questions at all, we're going to finish up at 8:30 British summertime. I can't believe that it still is British summertime, but it is until October the something or other. So we've got, putting it all together, you've got the questioning. We just went over the 4 questions, which includes the palpation, of course, and the actual finding out what it is, where it is, how long it's been going on for, and what it's better for, and things like that. And then we've got the HARA diagnosis. Now, there's various ways of doing this. You can do the HARA diagnosis kind of open. In other words, you do the questioning, the palpation, and then you just do the HARA diagnosis open. But one thing that I sometimes do if I want specific information is I'll hold the issue in the back. So I'll slip my hand underneath the client and place the hand wherever it is. And then I'll actually assess the HARA all the way around. The only danger with that is you can get quite a lot of information. You can get obviously more than 2 meridians that resonate. So you have to be quite ruthless at eliminating anything that's not too exciting. And then that might give you 2 or 3 meridians that are resonating directly with that particular thing. And then what that will do is that'll focus the session more on that specific issue. Yeah. Okay, so once you've got the HARA diagnosis, you now can test for the resonance. And the way you do that is by placing your hand on the local area and then checking the HARA. And there's 2 aspects to the resonance. One is actually there's a kind of connection thing. And what that feels like is it feels a bit like the Masnaga 2-handed connection. You know, you can feel a connection between them, and then you know for sure that that meridian is resonating with that particular issue that you're working on. And the other way you can do it, the other aspect to it, is more like the Kyojitsu reaction in the HARA, because what you do is you actually treat the HARA area directly. In other words, you go in a little bit deeper and a little bit more focused in, more like in treatment mode. What that does is that gives you a prediction of what will happen when you work the meridian, and that's fantastically useful because sometimes with a Jitsu meridian you'll go in and you'll find that it actually makes it worse. It'll tighten up, and then you know you've got to be careful with sedation, and then another meridian will release it, and you know that you'll be on a much safer footing if you work a hidden kyo there. And other times it's not like that. Other times working directly on the Jitsu will be effective. It all depends on the client. But it is a very, very useful technique, isn't it, Tyler?
Absolutely, yes. And meridian scanning I find really helpful. I use that a lot.
Right, yes.
So i.e. after it is really the same thing as resonance, isn't it? After you've chosen your diagnostic meridians, just with the mother hand on the diagnostic area, tune in to the back and see where you get the strongest sense of connection.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can do that as well. If you've done some more advanced energy work, what you'll find you can do is you can do the HARA and scan into the area, which it's more comfortable than holding it, and that will then holographically select out the resonant meridians. You can experiment with that. You can do an open HARA, then focus your attention on the local area, and you'll notice that the HARA diagnosis will actually change.
Will often change, yes.
It will change, yeah, that's right. Oh, look, we've got another question from Daryl. Daryl Knight. Hi, Daryl. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi.
Can you use the back diagnostic areas to do this rather than the HARA if it's easier? Yes, you can. Absolutely, yeah, you can. In fact, you could use the meridians anywhere on the body actually, because it's holographic. You could actually test the meridians in the leg or whatever. You can, if it's more difficult for you to get there, you can do anything you like. So here's some ideas to keep you interested in using resonant techniques. The thing I find is so gives you so much confidence is that by this stage, you just know that it's going to work. That's the thing. And not only that, the client kind of knows that you know.
Yes,
that's the thing. They just know, and you can see them just relaxing. You can tell that they've sensed that you've got a real handle on what's happening.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Right. And then, of course, once you've got the resonances and you're off doing the treatment, you can start thinking about the TCM Masanaga functions, just like we did in the exercise earlier on. And that will give you an idea of recommendations later on. It'll give you an idea of whether it's more of an obstruction that you're likely to be working with or a deficiency if you're more into the TCM stuff. So you can start bringing the theory in. And then, as we just discussed briefly, the other exciting thing for me anyway, the thing that's really been an exciting thing over the years developing is that feeling the actions of the points. I love doing that.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10 they are what they say in the book, but sometimes you get a surprise. Sometimes they'll do something, you know, a little bit different from what you expect. But if you actually tune in to the action of the points directly rather than just going from theory, that's an exciting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very good fun.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, then obviously you go through the treatment and then come back to the assessment. And what I'll always do is I'll always go back and repalpate at the end, because really, obviously, you want to find out what's happened. And the other thing about it is just that experience of being palpated is usually enough for the client to, you know, for them to realize that there's been a major change, because suddenly, oh yes,
that doesn't feel like it did at the beginning.
No, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah. Very empowering for the client.
Okay. Oh, we've got another question in here from Louisa Carey.
Hi, Louisa.
Hi, Louisa. When you're checking to see if sedating or tonifying is the way to go in the treatment, how are you connecting with the back issue, with touch or scanning? Well, you can do it both ways. You can do it both ways, yeah. I mean, I've recently, actually, the last year or two, I've kind of got into using direct palpation. What you need, if you're going to do that in the supine position, what you need, though, is you need to have a really well set up mat. I know it sounds basic, but if you're working on too hard a surface, you just can't get your hand underneath the person.
Or not comfortably.
Not comfortably, it's very much more difficult. So actually what we've got in the Shiatsu Center here is we've got futons on top of about 2 centimeter foam mat, which means that you can actually press your hand down into the mat and slide it anywhere on the back that you want to. And I like doing that because you get a direct experience of things happening with the resonance, and it's very good for the client, I think, because they can feel.
I think it feels great. It really feels great as the receiver as well as the giver.
Yeah. So you can do either. You know, you can scan or touch.
Or directly palpate.
Palpate, yeah. And if it's a long way away, then it's going to be
more convenient to scan.
More convenient to scan, yeah. Especially if you're, you know, working on a 2 meter high person. Okay, well, we've only got a couple of minutes left. The hour's flown past. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much for participating. We've had a lightning response to the polls. Have we got any other polls left, I wonder? Let's see. No, we've done all the polls. We've had lots of questions, lots of active voting. And yeah, I just want to mention the online courses. We've actually filled the back course. It's filled up today. I think Shakura took the last enrollment. We'd like to keep them to 12 students because it's a very good group. We have got another one coming up in 5-6 weeks time, which is our next course, is the Art of Teaching. So if you are doing any teaching or assisting, if you're an experienced teacher or you're a little T in the UK or in another country, you're a trainee teacher, and you would like some input, some energy work based and some theory input, theory and practice input on your teaching, you may like to join us on that course. And this is what it looks like. In fact, you've almost certainly seen the site if you've come and registered for this webinar. The online courses are not webinar based though. We use a mixture of videos, audio, we use quite a lot of audio, and we have very active discussion forums, and they're asynchronous, which means that you can do the work, or if it's more like fun most of the time, you can do the activities, I like to call it, rather than work.
Yes.
Activities at any time that you like during the week, which makes it really useful and really flexible. And they are extremely popular, and they're filling very, very fast. So if you're interested in doing the Art of Teaching, and if you want to look ahead to some of the other courses we've got coming up in the new year, then please go on to the New Energy Works site and have a look around, and we'll keep you informed. And if you're not a member of the New Energy Work, in other words, you don't get our news mail outs, please go on the site and create a registration account, which is completely free. And it means that every now and then we send you an email with with links to the web to the free webinars, and we'll tell you what's happening on New Energy Work. And you can unsubscribe at any time, but you might want to just be in the loop there if you're not already. Okay, when we're going to finish up in 30 seconds now. There is an exit poll where we ask you for feedback on the webinar, and please, if you can take just a minute to just give us some feedback. and answer the exit poll, that would be really appreciated, because obviously we're trying to improve our work all the time. Okay, so it just remains for me to say thank you very much. I'd like to say thank you for Shakura, who's been working on the engineering all tonight, working away, monitoring the questions and looking after the whole thing. And thank you very much, Dinah, for taking an hour out of your evening.